Pelek Dalet Perek Halishit in the Sefer Derech Hashem. The chapter deals with Tefillah. The reason Tefillah follows is because we started discussing previous chapters about the Avodah of Hashem. Pretty much goes in order, telling us the fact that there is the Mitzvot of Hashem. After we discovered that there is a Mitzvot of Hashem, we had to understand a little bit what the purpose of this creation is. We also went through the fact that he's manhigit ha'olam, he's mashgiach, he directs and supervises the world. Discussed the fact that there is also bechira chofshit, there's free will. Various important concepts in Judaism. Very important sefer that condenses some of the most important concepts. We spoke about the various types of hashgachot, the provisions, and about the nefesh, what the spirit is all about, the difference between the spirit and the physical body. Spoke a little bit about the kochot, tum'ah, and the kishuf, the impure forces that exist in the world, that they were created too, and they have a reason and a purpose. And we'll talk about it more today too. And we spoke about the various levels of Ruach HaKodesh and Nevuah, that even though all human beings are created equal, as the saying goes, nevertheless, one is capable of elevating himself to great heights and achieving Ruach HaKodesh and Nevuah, prophecy, or divine inspiration. The various types of Nevuah, the Nevuah of Moshe Rabbeinu, and we're holding by now the service of Hashem, what's called the Avodat Hashem. The Avodah, there's one kind of Avodah that deals with the learning, knowing what to do, what is expected of us. During the time that the Beit HaMikdash there was Avodat HaKorbanot. And then we went on to explain the various levels of Ahava and Yir'ah, which led us to Kriyat Shema, which is the foundation of Avodah, because it involves Kabbalat Ol Malkut Shamayim, the acceptance of the yoke of heaven, which is the very first step that a ger takes in assuming the responsibilities of a Jew, demonstrating that he wants to embrace Judaism. There involves 3 steps for a man, for a male. That is that he is willing to accept the yoke of heaven, all Torah mitzvot. Without that, he's not Jewish no matter what he does for himself. And then there is the circumcision, and then there is the Tevilah. For a woman, there is the Kabbalat Ol Mitzvot. She has to accept the yoke of heaven, mitzvot, and she has to go to the Tevilah. Once she's done that, sincere about, she becomes Jewish. What? If she's missing any of those steps, then she's not Jewish. So obviously, when we're talking about conversions done by other types of groups and organizations, through a vending machine or through any form of shortcuts that they try to give you, most likely it's not good, because what's missing more than anything else is probably the serious Kabbalat Ol Torah Mitzvot, Kabbalat Malkut Shamayim. If she or he wants to just get converted because they want to marry someone Jewish, it doesn't really count. But if they did everything properly, and they do accept the Torah Mitzvot, but they did so also because of ulterior motives, they also want to get married to someone, that would be the diavad, it would be okay. That's what Shlomo Melech did. Even though they on their own would not have converted, he wanted to bring them closer. He wanted to be megayer the women, that they should perhaps get closer to Hashem, they should let go of their Avodah Zarah, and he had perhaps other reasons too. Nevertheless, it wasn't lechatchila. It was not 100% approved by the rabbis. First of all, he was going against the Torah by marrying so many. Number 2, they were not very sincere. And how do we know that? In the end, we see that they were pulling him away. So that's why we need to know if somebody's for real or not, if he's genuine or not. Alright, either you're Jewish by birth or you're Jewish by conversion. The biggest test, however, is not the circumcision, it's not the conversion, is if somebody's Oved Hashem. There are 2 types of Jews. They're not conservative, reform, reconstructionist. There's only 2. One who observes the Torah mitzvot, one who does not. And part of the observance involves avodah. This avodah is not once a year, like some people might think. A whole year they do whatever they want. Yom Kippur, once a year they come to the Knesset, they ask for forgiveness. You can do that with the priest, at the church maybe, but not in Judaism. Because Judaism is not a religion. It's a way of life. That's the big difference. It's not a religion. It's not that you just have certain beliefs, certain rituals. It's a way of life. And that way of life, as we will see in the following chapters, involves things we do from the moment we wake up until the moment we go to sleep. Our whole life as a Jew is surrounded with mitzvot. Before we eat, after we eat, we make blessings. Shabbat is very special. The holidays are special. There's halachot right and left. So in order to fully appreciate what we have, in order to do the job properly, we need to learn halachot. So that is what we discussed. But the first part of the Avodah involves Talmud. There's no way out of it. You cannot drive a car without learning how to drive. Driving is a big responsibility. You can get into trouble. You can get others into trouble. Right? So you have to learn the rules. You have to learn the laws. The same thing with Judaism. Judaism is a way of life. It's a responsibility. It's a task, a job that Hashem gave us, and we took it. We assume that we have to know what it's all about. And unfortunately, many Jews go to India to discover spirituality, and they don't realize that they have something in their own backyard. But they should first investigate what our fathers and grandfathers believed in, instead of trying to search in other vineyards. Check your own merchandise first. So Talmud Torah keneged kulam, the rabbis tell us Talmud Torah is therefore very important, because without that, everything else is I don't want to say worthless, but it does not have the same value, because there's no way that one can possibly know how to do everything without learning. So he might be making mistakes. The best example is, imagine somebody who celebrated his 80th birthday. 80 years is nice, right? It's an achievement, especially if he's healthy, right? And he's not losing his mind. And the children and grandchildren want to surprise their grandfather. They want to check out his tefillin. So they take it to the sofer, they polish it up, change the straps perhaps, check it out. And sure enough, they find out that it's pasul. 67 years he was wearing tefillin pasulot. Perhaps less, perhaps 67, depends when they became pasul, maybe from the very beginning. He never bothered to check them. He never fulfilled the mitzvah. He missed out. Is it good or bad that they opened up his tefillin? What's good? Because at least whatever amount of time he has to live, he will be fulfilling the mitzvah. Hopefully they'll get it. So min hashamayim, at least they had pity on him. They opened up his tefillin. At least, even though he feels terrible, he feels bad. He might even get a heart attack from it, right? If he's serious. How could he have let it go by? How can we do check it? You don't have to check tefillin like you check the result every so often, twice in 7 years. But they have to be checked, once, in a while. At the time you buy it, and then every so often. Make sure that the humidity or nothing got to them and they're still good. No, the prayers count, but he was not zocheh. He missed out his fest, right? So, what is this as a result of what? As a result of ignorance, as a result of negligence, right? So the person learns. The person goes to minyan, for example. He will know that today is Rosh Chodesh. Otherwise he will forget to say Lev Yavo if he's praying at home, right? So there's a certain amount of learning, a certain amount of responsibility that a Jew has to have. He wants to get things done properly. And especially in the area of Avodah. Avodah, even though Avodah, he explained before, really means all the mitzvot. When we do any mitzvah, that's called Avodat Hashem. The essence of Avodah is Tefillah. And that's what we will be talking about. The essence of serving Hashem, of worshiping Hashem, involves prayer. Because in prayer, what does one demonstrate? That he's totally dependent on Hashem. He turns to Him, he makes requests of Him. You cannot ignore it. When we're working a whole day, it's possible to forget. We get involved in our business, we make phone calls, we have bills to pay, so we may forget that, He's around, He's watching, looking after us. Hashem wants us not to forget, and He therefore asks us to have Him in mind at least once a day. According to the Torah, does not say how many times a day. Before we had the Siddur, before Anshe Knesset HaGdolah, in the first temple era and before, in the time of David HaMelech, for example, there was no Shahrit and Chayin Arvit, like we have today at least. Everybody went to the corner and made his own prayer, expressed it in his own way, in his language. However, he felt. It may have been a request, it may have been words of thanks. The prayer today includes all of that. It includes requests, it includes words of praise, and words of thanks. The Anshe Knesset HaGdolah organized it in a Siddur, and that's why it's called Siddur. Siddur meaning organized. So what is the purpose of prayer? The purpose of prayer is, as we said, to demonstrate consistent reliance on Hashem. He brings down over here that Hashem made it so that by making requests of Him, we will be able to receive certain things. By not making the request, sometimes things will be held back from us. It doesn't mean that if you never pray, a person will never be blessed and will never have food to eat. It doesn't mean that, because Hashem provides everybody with the basic sustenance just like He provides animals. But we're above that. We, as Jewish people, have a special relationship with Hashem. We're not just any other creature. And in order to strengthen that relationship, we have to show reliance. So Hashem sometimes holds something back just because He wants us to pray to Him. That's all. That may be the only reason. Like it's brought down in the Midrash about our Imahot. Our mothers, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, in the very beginning, were childless. Why? The Midrash says it. Hashem says, I gave them money, I gave them beauty, I gave them wealth. Right? I gave them everything. If I were to give them children too, they would never pray to me. So Hashem sometimes holds something back, and through the prayer, He expects man to remember, to turn to Him. And that is the vehicle that He uses to bring down the Shaitan into the world. But don't think that all prayers are equal. Hashem made it so that not only is prayer powerful, but depending how one prays, he can get more. Imagine two children. One asks his father, give me something. And the other one begging him, crying to him, and repeating it day after day, saying nice, and being obedient too, of course. Right? Hashem, the father would obviously pay attention to this child more. Just for the fact that he's coming back to him so many times, that in itself would remind the father. The same thing is with Borei Olam. He explains that even though tefillah is a very powerful vehicle through which we can make requests and get what we want, there are tefillot that accomplish more than others. The more one prays, the better the chances are that he will receive what he wants. Now obviously Hashem does not grant us all our wishes, because it could be that something is not good for us. But we have a tradition, and there are various gemarot that explain this, that a person, for example, who prays bidma'ot, with tears, and filato chozeret rikam, doesn't go wasted, Hashem puts it aside, and maybe 5 years from now, Hashem says, you know what, now is the perfect time. Now I can give him that request for 5 years. So prayer with tears is much more powerful than an ordinary prayer. That's it. Another kind of prayer that is much more effective than just simple prayer is prayer b'chavana. You read and you understand the words. You don't just mumbo jumbo and say things and walk out. You actually mean what you say and you understand what you say. It's like you're having a conversation with him. Oh, Hashem says he's actually talking to me, not talking to the wall, to his friends. He's actually talking to me. And the third is tefillah b'tzibur. There's no doubt that the tefillah of many is much more powerful than the tefillah of one. You can pray by yourself. You have no choice. That's what you do. But there's no doubt that there's a big difference between the prayer of a tzibur, of a kahal, of a congregation. That is much more effective than the prayer of an individual. That is what the Rav Am Hadrat Melech rabbis tell us, that the greater the congregation, the more people there are praying, the more honor Hashem has for them. And therefore the prayer is much more effective in getting to its destination. So one should therefore not miss out as much as he can from praying the tzibur, because his chances that his prayers are being heard are better than if he's praying by himself. Now, if he prays by himself for whatever reason, he just has to have more kavanah to make up for the lack of tzibur. But most of us, it's very difficult to continuously have the same pure kavanah, every single word, throughout the entire prayer. You get distracted, there's a phone ringing, there's a car passing by. It's very difficult to concentrate, to focus. We do our best, obviously. So, if we have the tefillah b'chavanah, you have the tefillah b'tzibur, and you have the ma'ot, you have tears, that's a tremendous, powerful prayer. The rabbis promise that they reassure us it's not wasted. Hashem listens to it. Obviously, what he doesn't mention here, but it's obvious that depending on the madriga, the level of the person, if he has any sins or not, that there might be accusations that stand in the way, like curtains, like obstacles blocking his prayer. As the prophet says, the sins block the prayers. You pray all day long. Take another example. A person who drives to shul on Shabbat, and he's going to cry his heart out. He says, don't do me favors. Stay at home. You're driving on my Shabbat, then you have the chutzpah to ask me. Now, obviously, I'm not going to blame anybody who does this because he may not know. He honestly feels that he's doing a good thing. Right? So we don't blame just anybody. But the halakha is very clear. Hashem prefers stay home than drive. I don't need your tefillah and tzibur. Don't worry about it. If you really mean it, you want to pray to me in your home, and I'll listen. Don't do me a favor. Don't trample on my Shabbat. That's all. So obviously, if a person does everything correctly, he doesn't do any things, he doesn't do what's called a mitzvah al-yidei avera, the mitzvah through avera. He gives tzedakah with what money? Money that he cheated somebody else. Right? He builds a sukkah with planks and wood that he took from his neighbor without asking permission. This is the mitzvah. I don't need this kind of thing. This is mitzvah al-yidei avera. The mitzvah that we don't do on avera. It's not clean. It's not pure. As I told you once, a story of, I think it was Ariya Kadosh, who had Ruach HaKodesh, he had divine inspiration, so he knew what people's thoughts were, what was going on in their mind. So there was once an individual who just finished Amidah, just one Esther. So the Ariya Kadosh goes over to him and says, Baruch haba, Shalom Aleichem. He says, why Baruch haba? Well, I didn't go anywhere. No, you just went to Hong Kong, you just came back. Hong Kong, I just came back. Yeah, in the middle of the Amidah, you were making a business deal, you were already thinking about your transactions in Hong Kong, and what am I going to do? I'm going to go there, I'm going to come back and do this. So you just went there, and you just came back. So you have to give you Baruch haba, Shalom Aleichem. Yes. What's about this? As long as they're black, it's fine. As long as there's no white spots. If there's white spots, then you have to polish them. You have to have a special. But the most important is the writing. Obviously, but everything else, but the box, it has to be square. It shouldn't have lost its shape. The straps have to be black. That's basically it. The parchment is the most important. A couple times during the life, not too often. What? The part, of course. Okay, so we saw the importance of prayer. Now, wants to elaborate a little bit more deeply of what prayer accomplishes. And he gives us an introduction. He says as follows: man received brains, he received intelligence. Hashem gave him sechel for two reasons. Number one, the sechel, intelligence, is a gift to man, that it shows that man is precious. Man is not just like any other creature. Man is above everything else. He's the crown of creation, and as a result of that, he deserves to have sechel. He needs the sechel to manage his affairs. Second of all, he says, it's important that he have sechel so he can manage, so he knows how to conduct himself in this world. Right? The human being is created in such a way that he needs sechel to handle, himself, to manage his affairs. These ideas are he says, the simple way of looking at what the sechel is. It's a gift. In other words, man is being told, you are not like everything else, you're above the animals. You get something called sechel, for which you can understand many things that animals cannot. Plus, you need this on a more simplistic, fundamental level to manage your affairs. Now, these affairs that he has to handle, when I say affairs, I mean eat, sleep, work, all these are affairs, is considered a yerida. It's considered going down in level. As you remember, the pasuk, is a curse. To the sweat of your brow you should earn your bread. That's a curse. The fact that we have to work. So he calls it here a yerida. The fact that man has to manage his affairs, don't think it's such a lofty thing. It's a yerida. However, this yerida is letzorech aliyah, which explains somewhat in the very beginning of the book, that even though we are on a low level, it is through this low level that we can actually elevate ourselves. One can actually sanctify himself because he's on a low level. As I explained in Shabbat, that the Kabbalah explains, if something is holy by nature, you have something else which is hol, not unholy. If you elevate that which is hol to Kedusha, that will be on a much higher level than that which was originally in the Kedusha. You took something from hol, something which was unholy, and you made it holy, you elevated it. That's much greater. It's the same idea with Baal Teshuvah. A Baal Teshuvah is greater than a normal tzaddik, because he was once on the left, and now he's on the right. He was once low, in the Tumah perhaps, not fulfilling his mitzvot. He went through all the pressures and all the struggles, and overcame all the obstacles to be a tzaddik. Not only does that deserve more reward, his level is higher than a normal tzaddik who grew up as a tzaddik. So he says that even though we are on a low level in a sense, because we have to manage our affairs, this low level can bring us to a higher level if we know how to sanctify it. Unfortunately, he says this low level has its downfalls too. Adam yachol listabech, he says. One can get into trouble if he overdoes it. In these affairs, there's a problem. Sometimes one may overdo it. What's the best example? What is a car? A car, if you look at it simplistically, is a replacement of the sus and the agala of 100 years ago, of the horse and buggy. That's all it is. It takes us from point A to point B. I have to ask you, was there a Rolls Royce buggy 100 years ago? Everything was simple. A horse, well, there was some better horses maybe, right? And if you were rich, you had 4 horses instead of 1 horse, right? But it was simple. Exactly. A carriage, all it is a carriage. It's to take it from point A to point B. But today, it's become a luxury. People have to have the latest car. People have to have all the gadgets inside, right? Stereo sound, big amplification, right? All these things. So that has become a goal, not a means, right? People sacrifice everything else, but they have to have certain things. That's the Iglazav, the golden calf of that. I just give you a quick example of just how people can get so bogged down and involved in these affairs that we mentioned. Worldly affairs that have nothing to do with the tachlit, with his ultimate purpose. Sir, you have to get here. What do you care if you use this car or this car? Now, if you're going to Israel by plane and you have the money and you want to buy a seat in business class because you want to go to sleep, okay, I can understand it as long as you have the money. It's okay. But we all agree that the main thing is I want to get there safely. That's more important than how I get there. And between me and you, if I'm going to Israel, I don't mind sitting on the floor because I know I'm going to Eretz Israel. Yeah, that's Hashem. So if we stay focused on our goal, we're not going to get caught up, as he says. There's a danger of getting caught up in all these affairs and sinking to a lower level. So he says, there's nothing to do, since that is a fact of life. Because we are low, man can easily become mesubah, in the affairs of the world, and by doing so, chas v'shalom, he is furthering himself, distancing himself from the light, in other words, from Hashem. So what do? We have a Yetzer Hara. It's true, we can conquer the Yetzer and elevate ourselves to a tremendous high levels, but the fact is the Yetzer is still there, and not everybody's going to do it. So what is Hashem going to do about it? He put us in this position, a very low position. He says, no problem. Hashem, in realizing, in knowing that man is in a matzav yarut me'od, on a very low level, He prepared us a tikkun. And it's through this tikkun that if you do it properly, your whole day will be different. You know how they say, depending on how you go to sleep, that's how you wake up. If you go to sleep calmly, in a normal hour, without any pressure, you'll sleep better. You may not even need sleeping pills, right? If you prepare yourself to go to sleep properly, you'll wake up hopefully in your man, you'll feel refreshed. You won't feel like you have to drag yourself out of bed. Hashem gave us a beautiful tikkun so our day should not be messed up. So we should not lose ourselves. So we should not get confused. He gave us a tikkun for this problem that we have, this yerida, that we're in a low level. What's the tikkun? That from the very first moment that we get up, we spend a few minutes with Hashem. We turn to Him, we get close to Him, and we say, Modani lefanecha, and we start asking Him our requests. That's called Filat Shachrit. From the very beginning, from the very start, from the moment we wake up, we are already starting on the right foot. We're starting with what He calls a tikkun, to fix our day, so that we don't lose ourselves, that we don't forget what we're here. Hashem comes first. We don't eat breakfast before we pray because of this. We shouldn't really make phone calls if possible. First thing we do is we take care of our affairs with Hashem. Because that is a tikkun for the rest of the day. And after we do this properly, and remind ourselves that a parnasah comes from Hashem, and that we rely on Him, the rest of the day will only be called an hishtadlut. Hishtadlut means an effort. Obviously, you have to go to work. You have to pick yourself up, get dressed. You have to write a resume so you can get a job. You can't just sit like this. Hashem, please send me. Please send me money. You have to do what's called hishtadlut, an effort. You make the effort, Hashem sends beracha. Sit at home, you're not going to get anywhere. But before we make the effort, we make the tikkun, so that our efforts should be blessed, so that our efforts should not carry us away, so that we should sink lower and lower. So in order to prevent man from sinking too low and getting caught up in business and money, and that's all his life, Hashem gives us a tikkun. Before you go into your business, take care of this matter, which is tefillah and berachot, as we will see, and then, B'ezrat Hashem, you will not become so low and so materialistic when you go to your job, when you go to your business. Anyway, so what does Hashem do? Hashem gives us the tefillah. What is the tefillah? Therefore, the tefillah is an opportunity to stand close to Hashem. Hashem is therefore giving us permission for a few moments of the day, actually to stand close to Him, stand before Him, and to call Him in His name. That's when we say Baruch Atah Hashem, we're actually calling Hashem with His name, one of His names. Hashem gives us that opportunity to call Him in His name, and despite the fact that we're so distant, this relationship, this tefillah, this calling Him, enables us to become a lot closer to Him. But that's not all. Not only is there a way for us to get close to Him, there's also a way to say goodbye. What do we do when we finish Amidah? We take 3 steps back. The 3 steps back is also a peulah, is also a certain maaseh, a certain act, out of respect, of course, that shows, we're sorry, we're saying goodbye. We'd like to stay longer, but we need to go right now and care of our business. You see, we're not just, okay, finish, boom, like some people do. They hold the talit 10 minutes before Aleinu L'Shavach, they're already putting things away. There's a way to say goodbye too. So you see from all of this is that the very first steps in the morning involves a very important tikkun, through the tefillah, through the spending time with Hashem, through making our requests to Him, and showing our reliance on Him. He explains that as a result of the importance of tefillah, that is why it's very serious not to make interruptions in tefillah, not to talk about things that have nothing to do with the tefillah. And that is why the Chachamim, in order for the tefillah to be proper and as effective as possible, they organize this for us, as I mentioned earlier, and they gave us various berachot that we say before and after to complete the tefillah. All of this is mostly talking about the Shema Yisrael and the Amidah, which is really the essence of the tefillah. But we have additional tefillot and additional berachot, some of them in place of the korbanot, the sacrifices that we don't have. But the essence is still the Shema Yisrael and the Amidah. And there are halachot, what to do if you can't say the whole tefillah. Which one should you say first? How much should you say? Which one can you say later? You have time. Which one should you say? Right? The Shema Yisrael and the Amidah are the most important parts. A little bit more in depth, what we accomplished with the tefillah. The before knowing what we accomplished in the Tefillah, it gives us a brief introduction on what night and day is. We already discussed in previous chapters that Hashem created Koach HaTzumah, impure forces. That's something that Hashem wanted to have in this world in order that there should be a balance between good and bad, the opportunity to do the will of Hashem, the opportunity to reject it or to go against it. In order for there to be free will, there has to be opposing forces, pulling in different directions. That's what the Yetzirah told us, the Yetzirah. There's different names, there's different forces, different camps. Let's call it the camp of Tushav or the camp of Tumah. Now, this camp of Tumah, he explains in this chapter, was given jurisdiction, I guess we can call it. It was given permission to rule and control during the night. The night time is the time that the Kochot Tumah rule. That's when they have their control. Hashem gave them the time of night. As soon as it becomes light, that Koach is driven away. But he explains, don't think it's right before the morning. In reality, the Koach HaTumah is slowly but surely being driven away after Chatzot, after midnight. That is why midnight, Chatzot, is a very, very unique time. It's a very special time, especially after Chatzot, to do certain things. You may have heard that not only people in Chatzot, but they're not reading the Chumash before Chatzot, they're not saying the Tehillim before Chatzot. All of that has to do a little bit with this. The time of the night is the time of one has to be very careful not to go by himself anywhere at night. Unless it's lit, it's always better to go with somebody else. One should not travel long distance on a major trip. You should not begin to trip at night, 7, 8 o'clock at night. Start during the day and do attempt as much as possible to arrive during daylight hours. There's a lot of things that are written about nighttime. But what the common denominator is, that is when the Kochot HaTumah have Shelita. That is when they have dominion, control. And that control slowly but surely goes away, beginning with Chatzot Ashkelot, who drives these forces away. Now, besides giving them the time frame to rule at night, there's also one additional way that they can rule. Through the Ma'aseh HaAdam, through the deeds of man. If man misbehaves, commits sins, he is drawing the Koach HaTumah. He is giving them Shlita, he's giving them dominion, he's giving them power. Chaz v'shalom, I spoke about this when we talked about intermarriage, why a Jew cannot marry a non-Jewish. Because if a Jew goes with a non-Jewish woman, he is giving Koach to the Tumah. If he's with her, if he lives with her. And if children are born, or avot, right? To take the Brit Kodesh and to give it to the Tumah is a tremendous avot. It's not only a terrible thing in itself to do, it's not only considered an act of treason against Judaism, but you're actually on a Kabbalistic level, one is giving Koach to the Tumah. It's difficult to understand, but that's exactly what happens. So that's what he says here, is that not only is the night a time of Tumah, but even during the day, if one does certain things, certain actions, he's able to give the Tumah Shalita, to give them the name. On the other hand, one through his Masim can also be Gorem Le'achniya, to humble the Kochot HaTumah, to drive them away. Everything depends on our action. In other words, man has a tremendous power that he can draw. If he's shy, he can draw the Tumah depending on his action. This is what night and day represents. The day, when there is light, represents Hashem's Ha'ara, Hashem's illumination of the world. The night is representative of darkness, of emptiness, of void, of the Tusha being removed. That is symbolized in these two facets, these two parts of the day. Now, as a result of them having the Koach at night, what did Hashem do? The Chochmato Aliyonah. And says, well, since that is the time of Tumah, that is the time when human beings will go. That is the best time for them to be asleep, not to be around outside. That's what you may recall. The rabbis tell us the night was created either to sleep or for learning Torah. That's it. Don't do anything else. Right? Because that's what the night is for. Hashem says that's the time of Tumah. That will be the best time for you to go. What happens when a human being goes to sleep? His kochot gufanim, his physical powers, leave him. He's able to rest, which he needs, so you can begin a new day the following day. It's already day, no more Tumah. So Hashem made it so that during the time that the Tumah is out there in full force, that is the best time for man. What happens when man is asleep? The various parts of his neshama leave him. That is the time the Tumah is coming down. And since that is the time the Tumah is coming down, part of the Tumah attaches itself to the body too. Where? At the extremities. Which extremities? The fingers. Why? That's the way Hashem made it. That Tumah cannot go all over the body like other Tumah. This Tumah of the night can only attach itself to the fingers. As this is happening, the Neshama, which is holy, leaves. Not the Nefesh that is making the heart pump. The neshama, something spiritual, something holy, different parts of the neshama depart the human being, the Jew at least, at night. So as this is departing, as the tumah is coming down, the man is asleep. What happens when he wakes up? The tumah is gone. Yes, the part of the tumah attached itself remained on the thing. So what did Hashem do? No problem. In order for man to make tikkunim babriya, he's a partner with Hashem to fix this world. He has to make a tikkun himself too. He has to be clean. He has to be pure. He has to be holy. I'm going to give him a mitzvah that will allow him from the moment he wakes up to drive away the tumah. The tumah in his own thinking. Netilat yadayim. Through the netilat yadayim, he's able, it has a koach. The netilah has a koach, obviously. Not just water, but the netilah done properly. Once, right? Alternating the right and the left hand at least 3 times. That has a koach to drive away this small level of tumah, as we call it, from the fingers. He says, before we go on to the netilat yadayim and the other mitzvot, he says also that the levels of tumah can be stronger or can increase depending on the sins that a person committed during the day, and depending, of course, what he does all the time. The more materialistic a person is, the more he follows his yetzer hara, the more the tumah goes after him. The other way around, the more elevated a person is, the more kadosh he is, right? The less tumah he will have in him. Yeah, during the day or during the night. Now, during this night that a person is becoming a little bit tameh, the rabbis tell us that the human being feels otoem ta'am mita. He feels a little bit of death. In the night, the sleep is considered a chad mishishim the mita, 1/60th of death. And as a result of that, ruach, tumah that he has, we said, he becomes tameh. In other words, he has a little bit of a death, which comes about as a result of this ruach tumah or ruach ra'ah coming down on him. And in order to remove it, one has to wash his hand. After one washes his hand, he's become clean. Another way to cleanse himself is to go to the restroom. Because what happens when a person goes to the restroom? He's cleaning his body, his physical body. So the rabbis combine all of this in the morning. One should go and do whatever he needs, after which he will be washing his hands. And in this way, his body is physically clean. And that is the way one should approach prayer. You may have noticed some people always wash their hands before they go to prayer. Their hands are not clean. Right? Because that is in preparation for prayer. The one sanctify himself, the one make preparation, especially in the morning when we have this tumah, alayhi tumah on the thing. Alright. After he's washed his hands, he's gone to the restroom, we have additional peulot. As I said before, HaKadosh Baruch Hu prepared the tikkun. This is all the tikkun that's happening from the moment the person wakes up until he goes to work. In order for him to have a good day, to have a positive day, day of Kedusha, he needs to go through this tikkun. And hopefully the chances are better. It doesn't guarantee that he will be honest in business, that he won't do anything wrong during the day. It just, at least, it gives him a chance to hold on to the Kedusha, not to lose himself. Washed his hands. After he washed his hands, he went to the restroom. What comes next to the men? Tzitzit. And tefillin. Tefillin we won't be talking about today. We'll be talking about that next week. Just going to spend a few moments about that. Unfortunately, it's one of the mitzvot that are not well understood, perhaps, and are not observed properly. People minimize it. They don't realize how significant it is. There's a lot to be said about tzitzit. Rabbi Moshe comes, whoever was careful with tzitzit, you will have many goyim holding on to his corner, wanting to be servant. Yeah. No, you don't have to wear more than white. As long as you wear a kosher tzitzit, check it from time to time. And as I've said previous times, that there's even a very powerful segula at night to sleep with it. Even though you don't have to. At night you don't have to sleep with it. But if you do, it's an extra protection from all sorts of nightmares and problems that can arise at night. And unfortunately people, don't give it the proper support. Sure, I know. Alright, what's the significance of tzitzit? First of all, tzitzit and tefillin are mitzvot in the Torah. They're no longer just customs in the morning that we do, like wash our hands. This is already written in the Torah. So not only are we doing something to drive away the tumah first thing in the morning, we're actually starting our day with a mitzvah that is written in the Torah. The rabbis came along and added a beracha to the tzitzit. Not only do we put it on, we make a blessing. So, in order to understand what we're doing, perhaps we'll just go over it briefly. Tzitzit is the actual insignia. You know what an insignia is? It's a sign or a medal that a Jew wears to demonstrate that he is an Eved Hashem, is a servant of Hashem. The kippah in reality says a similar thing. When we cover our heads with the kippah, which is not written in the Torah, but it's a similar idea, what are we saying?
The head is the highest part of the body, the most important part of the body, because that's where the brains are. And what are we saying? We're not above, we're not so smart, we're not on top of the world. There's somebody smarter and there's somebody above us that we give respect, reverence to. That is Borei Olam. And even the Pope likes that idea, because he uses one too. Right? A blue one? Really? He became a Zionist. It was a red, yeah. All right. Yeah, it's red. Okay. Yeah. But anyway, kippah is not written in the Torah, but nevertheless it's a very significant thing to do, because a Jew was always recognized through his lebush, through his garment, wherever he went. And today, not everybody has a Jewish garment, unless he's wearing a kippah. Because beard, many non-Jews have beards. Brit Milah you can't see, hopefully, right? So, tzitzit not everybody sees either. So what do you have? You have the kippah. The kippah, a Jew shows I'm Jewish. According to the different customs, according to the Kabbalah, I believe you're supposed to wear it inside. Right? According to other traditions, you wear the whole thing outside. Not on top of everything, but on top of your shirt. Right? And some Ashkenazim wear only the string outside, because that's like a compromise. But the main thing is it's see supposedly, so you should, because it says, when you them, you should see. But they say you have to see it. So everybody should follow the tradition, but the most important thing is to wear it. However you want to wear it, it's fine, but the main thing is to wear it. And this is important from when a child already magiya legila chinuch, when he's come to the age of chinuch, of education, that one has to train him, so that he should never let go of this mitzvah. Never let go of this mitzvah. Now this mitzvah, as I said, represents all Malchut Shamayim, in the same way as the kippah says that I believe that Hashem is above me, but this is a mitzvah in the Torah. Right? And when the Jew puts it on, has it on him constantly, he's basically wearing a uniform, that I am an Eved Hashem, I'm a soldier of Hashem. I have accepted upon myself the oath of Torah mitzvah. Why tzitzit more than any other mitzvah in the morning? Because tzitzit is a garment. And what we're doing by putting that on is we're sanctifying our garment. As I explained in the past, even the ordinary things we do during the day can be sanctified. If we eat, so we should be healthy to serve Hashem. We go to sleep so we can wake up the next morning so we can be servants of Hashem. You can be mekadesh, sanctify the mundane activity, make them holy too. Tzitzit is the first one because we're sanctifying our clothes. We're putting something on. We're about to get dressed, right? So we're saying, I'm going to put something on, not just my shirt and my pants. I'm also going to put something which is much more important than anything else. That medal, that badge is the word I was looking for. That badge that says I'm Jewish. It's not only saying that I'm Jewish, it's saying that I'm willing to accept the oath of mitzvot, the yoke of heaven. Anyway, so by putting on the tzitzit, just like by performing all the other mitzvot, one is showing that the Jew is showing that his role, part of his role in this world, is to be metaken, to fix the world, metaken olam malchut shaddai, to bring down the presence of Hashem, and to follow His ways. And through the pe'ulot that we do, through the various activities and actions that we take, we demonstrate this. You can't just say it, like some do say, I have a good heart. Can you tell that to the police officer? The police officer, I'm a good citizen in my heart. You just broke the law. You just did this. You didn't do this right. A citizen, even a normal citizen, has certain responsibilities and obligations. Can you say, I have a good heart? Is that enough? How can you say that? A Jew demonstrates his Jewishness through activities, through pe'ulot. These pe'ulot create a tremendous tikkun for himself and for the world too. To himself by being mekadesh himself, by elevating himself. And to the world in a way that we don't understand how these things affect the world, but they do. So to be a Jew requires activities, requires ma'asim. And through these activities, there are many tikkunim in the world. And through the consistency in these activities, one becomes stronger and stronger. In other words, the way a tzaddik becomes a tzaddik, the way a Jew becomes kadosh is through consistency. And the more he does something, the more consistent he is, the stronger he becomes. The more difficult it is for him to let go of it. So consistency is very important. And finally, as we said before, the rabbis gave us the beracha l'tzitzit, that when we're putting on the special garment, when we're fulfilling the mitzvah of Hashem, we should have the proper kavanah. That is, when you will find sometimes we say l'shem yechut v'chal b'chu, that we're about to perform this mitzvah. Think of different kavanot. Why is this for? So you shouldn't just do it, mechanically from routine. You should prepare yourself with the proper kavanah. Listen, this is what I'm about to do. And as a result of saying it to yourself, as a result of others hearing it, especially with children, you're able to make a tremendous impact on yourself and on others too. So when we verbalize these things, when we say the berachot associated, depending on if it's small or the big one, the various berachot that the rabbis iknulanu, that they made for us, have a reason. It's for us to be continuously cognizant and aware of our obligations and to understand a little bit of what we're about to do. What are we doing when we're taking a lulav and an etrog in our hand? What are we doing when we're shaking? As much as possible, we don't understand everything that's happening. At least we understand that we're doing the will of Hashem. And by doing this consistently, and by having the proper kavanah, not only are we making a tremendous tikkun, we are mitchazek. We are strengthening our relationship with Borei Olam. Next week, with Hashem, we'll go into tefillin. Tefillin is a whole different idea. It's also very sure. Tefillin is a whole different idea. It's a whole different idea, but it's still very similar to tzitzit because it involves Ol Malchut Shamayim in a different way. I won't tell you. I want you to come back next week. It's a very significant way. The tefillin has parchments. It has several parchments. It has several compartments and chambers in the head. There's the hand and there's the head. There's various things going on. Obviously, the important thing to remember is that Baruch Hashem, through our body, through our hands, through our feet, through our eyes, through all the limbs that we have, we're able to sanctify them by fulfilling this law. Whether it's giving tzedakah, whether it's putting on tefillin, whether it's putting on tzitzit on our body, whether it's walking with our feet and being chesed of going to pray. He wanted the Jewish people to have merits. That's one peshat of zakot. And the second peshat is that zakot to purify them, to elevate them. How? By giving them the No, these are already mitzvot. No, they're not the words of it. It's called totafot. Right. So through these mitzvot, we are doing a tremendous tikkun for the world, a tremendous tikkun for ourselves, and through these two, as we will see next week, and through the tefillah of the morning, and through the berachot, and through the washing of our hands, we're starting off our day in a tremendous level of kedusha that hopefully will remain with us for the remainder of the day.